Okay, thank you.
Here we go.
Okay. I just need to.
You able to share your screen?
I am.
Coming your way.
Everyone see it?
Your mouse is still there. They can probably see it here. Yeah.
I want to do the.
Oh, come click on right here.
Where's your mouse?
It's already extended. Here you go.
Gotcha. Okay. Everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. I'm Brian Johnson, and today we're going to talk to you about smart buildings, benefits, very high level. I'll touch base on kind of scope of work and how you would specify something like this out as far as divisions within specifications. And if you want to take a deeper dive after that, I'll have my contact information at the end, and feel free to reach out to me and help you with any written specifications or anything else. So before we get into the technology, I want to talk to you a little about LED. And LED is really what helped catapult PoE to where it's at today. It's been around for quite some time, as you know. It originally started out on circuit boards as this little indicator light. And then in the 80s, it started gaining traction with the traffic system and using that for better illumination and less wattage. And then recently, in the 21st century, the LED lighting came into the commercial aspect of the business, commercial construction, industrial, and so forth. We also have another part of it that's really important, which is the energy code, which helped drive the LED technology into current specifications due to the watts per square foot requirements when you're designing within a space. The other part of this is the evolution of Ethernet and how that came about. Before, PoE was not very cost effective as a solution. In 2003, the lighting systems weren't there for it. We were still using the old fluorescents and stuff like that, the HIDs. So it didn't really make a lot of sense. You're limited to 15 watts. We were using some pretty high powered wattages back then on our fixtures. And as you can see through the time, it's evolved. And now in 2008, we're up to 95 to 100 watts per port. So now it's becoming a viable solution for buildings. And it makes sense because the LEDs are constantly driving down on their wattages as well. So that's another part that helped bring PoE as an offering. And the big game changers in 2015 is the ability to have DC powered distribution in buildings. What's unique about it is, as you can see, the last bullet, we can push a kilowatt over 1.2 miles on a pair of 18 number 2. Traditional PoE without this capability is limited to the 324 foot, no different than your typical IT infrastructure requirements. So we can push DC power very far. You can touch the load. You're not going to get shocked, so it's a lot safer technology than the AC power. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show that to you as well.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
The screen has a live caption subtitles, and it's showing your next slide. So I don't know if you can move to full screen or something along those lines. Better, much better. Thank you.
Better? Okay, no problem. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so a little bit of a PoE factor fiction you'll typically run into. This would be with an end user or anyone in the industry that's maybe not familiar with what it can do. All fixtures have to be home run. That's not the case. It depends on the offering and how the architecture of the system needs to be set up for the end user. So as you can see, we can string multiple devices together if we chose to do so, if that was the design. So there's not a case anymore where you have to home run every device, every sensor, every switch, every fixture back, and all of a sudden people think they have this huge cable infrastructure they're having to manage. A node, which a node is a device that, think of it as being your driver for your LED in addition to what a room controller is today for lighting and controls. Okay, so that's the PoE node. That's the two devices we're taking out of the space now. We're condensing it into a single piece. So a node needs to be integrated into each device. That's also fiction. So as you can see, we can drop multiple devices into the space. You can have a single device that can control multiple third-party pieces, sensors, actuators, switches, photocells. It doesn't matter. And a separate node is required for each device. So as you can see, we can daisy chain and nodes together, but then also connect multiple devices to a node if the design is intended to be that way. PoE lighting is complex. So on the left is a traditional build for today that you can see. There's a lot of front-end requirements to pull in the PoE or to pull in that infrastructure on the traditional line voltage side. And then you have the low voltage cables once you get to the space that are used to connect the lighting control system, which today are using Cat5e, from a room controller to a sensor, to a switch, to a photocell. Then you're paying labor to pull out switch tots and 0 to 10s and so forth. And on the right over here, that's the same outcome. The difference is we also have the nodes and the sensors into the fixtures, so we're actually streamlining and installation and efficiencies for you. The big takeaway on this is that this is a bi-directional communication on PoE. So we can send data back and forth off of the single Cat5 or Cat6 cable, where traditional lighting control systems are, the most you're going to get out of it really is a contacts back or maybe a dimming level of a fixture. So what's the problem with today? Well, traditional builds today are expensive. They're incompatible, meaning that once they're in, it's really hard to integrate any future systems or applications that a building owner may want in the next 3, 4, 5 years. They're limited as far as what they can do, and they're inefficient, meaning they're not actually taking data and gathering that data and giving it back to the owners or the energy managers to let them know true energy consumption and what's taking place, and even identifying where that inefficiency is coming from. So why PoE? It's easier and cheaper. You save on money as far as the conduit, the copper, and there's a potential for installation savings. It's a global solution. So if you have a client that has multiple sites and they have various power requirements that they're using based on where they're at within the world, they could use this platform anywhere because it's utilizing 48 volts and 24 volts to communicate. Whereas they may get stuck with different systems in different regions of the world because of the power requirements. PoE is a two-way communication, like we said before. Possible integration for the future, so the building is not just what you built today. The analogy I like to use is we have taken a building from a flip phone of a cell phone and moved it to the smartphone. And that smartphone is something that you can customize and change easily, which is what a PoE building will do. There's more wattage to integrate for devices now. There's a lot more devices out there for PoE that we can bring in later on or during the build to enhance the experience for the occupants. So what is PoE? It's a centralized platform. We're creating a digital ceiling structure and infrastructure within the building, an ecosystem that is going to allow two-way communication, ease of maintenance, ease of adding a device in later on, and so forth. So we're creating smart buildings is what we're doing here. This is kind of how it works. This is very high level capabilities. The difference is on the far right over there, those are the other systems within the buildings. I call them the silos for today because they're really hard to bring into the lighting control system and into a single API. So what we're able to do today is supply a single pane of glass that allows for those third-party pieces, in addition to the benefits of the PoE system and the software that it comes into play, and push that information up through the API. Most building owners are going to want to save this data to the cloud because there's so much information that's available. But what's unique is we're actually giving them this data in a usable format. We're not just dumping a big pile of data to them and saying, here it is, filter it out and see what you want. We can sit down and work with them and decide what they need and tailor that and have those reports sent to the appropriate people within the organization. And so really help on efficiencies there. It's a cloud-based system. Like I said, it can be on-premise if you like. It's not that big of a deal, but cloud is going to make more sense for the future. Like I said, just because of the amount of data analytics that are going to be stored. Some future things to think about are apps, devices on systems, behaviors within the building, and even AI. AI to benefit the building and the architecture of the building as a whole, end user experiences. These are all plugins later on. It's no different than your cell phone and downloading an app or purchasing an app to integrate into your cell phone. It can be that easy. The value in the data and the apps. So today we can do alarms down to chase mode of lighting, and even having colors of lights take place depending on the alarm that's taken place. You know, if it's a tornado, earthquake, whatever that is, we can have those lights change and trace the path for the egress of the building. Security motions. Something we're doing within Round Rock is if there is someone in the building after hours that don't belong there, it immediately starts recording, and the lights will go to full bright, including interior, exterior. We could also have that tied to the 911 service and have that information sent to 911 with the video clip in a matter of seconds. So now they know who needs to respond, what's going on, and we can let them know where they're at within the building. And so whenever the police show up, they know where to go to. The health part of it, you're familiar with circadian rhythm. That is your body adjusting based on the day, on the shift of the sun. So that's something we can do within the lighting system that's proven to help with just health benefits in general, productivity and focus, and even having employees and customers that are comfortable in the environment. Triggering HVAC, as far as if it's an occupied, unoccupied space, awareness, so we can do the beaconing, the asset tracking, and just the green analytics side of it as well. We can let the owner know that, hey, you know what, you can actually put your time delay down to 1 minute in your corridors based upon this 20, 30-minute time delay that you put in there. You can actually reduce your lighting power requirements that much more. So the benefits of it within the workspace, reducing operational costs, like I said, increasing productivity and satisfaction for your employees, the energy savings, the increased comfort, and just better space utilization. And these are the systems in the building that you're putting in today or that are going into a design that we integrate with. So all this is reporting back to the PoE infrastructure, and we are taking that data and giving that to the end user so they know what's going on within the facility at any given time. You could have software looks something like this. Your meeting room's been occupied. It's occupied 37% of the time. That's really a big problem for commercial space, or meeting rooms, and trying to find one that's available. There's a lot of people that book them out and maybe the meeting never takes place and they never go back there and open it back up to show that it's available. So we could actually take our system and say, you know, if the meeting hasn't started within 5 minutes after the booking, we're going to clear it off the books, and it's going to show as an available space, and so forth. That's just one example of how we could benefit the end user and the operation side of things. So it's highly differentiated. It's an IoT system. We're fueling innovation and just future expansions, as you can see. And here's some of the stuff that you can do within it. You can push promotional content down if you wanted to, depending on the space. Maybe it's a hospital and the flower shop is having a sale take place. They could push that out to everyone and let them know that that's happening. You could do push notifications to employees or staff to let them know what's happening within a facility. You could do locating of devices and assets. The big place for that is today is within the healthcare industry. There's a big problem with inefficiencies of staffs trying to find equipment, whether it's a wheelchair or an x-ray machine or something like that, a mobile x-ray machine. and they could identify where that's at, even down to the maintenance facilities people, to know where it's at, to pull it off the floor if it's serviceable, not serviceable, or time for service. You have the whole COVID-19 thing we're in right now. So we can do real-time people counting. We could determine whether or not social distancing is taking place. And if it's not, we could alert the proper people to educate the employees on the importance of doing that. As you can see, there's a lot you can do once you get into it, air quality measurement and so forth. Wayfinding within the building. So if you're trying to navigate a large corporate campus or a hospital or even a large college campus, we could help out with that and show the easiest way to get around things. If there's barriers in the place due to construction, we'll take that into the equation and route those people accordingly. Conference room management systems, as you can see. Hot desking, which is a big new trend coming up, especially now with COVID-19. People being able to set up a workspace for maybe them and their team of where they can meet up. Hot desking is a feature that you do not have an assigned office, so you're able to book your workspace, and people know it's taken, and so they won't be able to use that part of that workstation. We can integrate smart parking. So even identify if there's someone who was speeding, to notify the proper people that, hey, there's someone out there who's not driving for safety within your campus. And that could be tied to, think about a hospital and you're going to an appointment. A lot of times people get stuck on the wrong parking garage on the wrong side for the very first time as a new patient. And then they're trying to navigate this big hospital campus, and before they know, they're on the complete opposite side of the building of a campus, and they've been running around the building for the last 30, 45 minutes. Some of the devices we can incorporate today, you can see there's a whole offering of stuff, down to heart monitoring, O2, pressure sensors. So pressure sensors, think about that being used on HVAC systems. If a filter is not working correctly, if it's not, it's just dirty, or maybe it's not set correctly, and being able to notify the maintenance staff of that, temperature sensing, and so forth. You can see there's all sorts of things we can get into to be able to benefit the building and the occupant. Air quality measurements. This is something I'm talking to someone about now. The big thing is that that range up top on the left, that PM2.5. My understanding is that's the really bad stuff that causes the problems. And that could be stuff that shows up later on. So if they're in a manufacturing facility of some sort, they're building anything like that, that's something we could incorporate. And if those, if it's reading those ranges like that are dangerous, we could notify them and potentially save them from a lawsuit, 10 years down the road. Wearable hardware, so industrial, think about that, or even in a manufacturing facility. Being able to identify near hits or misses for the employee, the environmental conditions of the space that takes place. If someone slips and falls, we can notify the proper people within the organization of where that's at and what happened. It's completely safe. We're not gathering the workers' privacy. We're not taking any of that information, but it's another way to help control that operations cost. And this is kind of the feature. These are the features that are on that wearable device. So this takes away the need of having to maintain badges. Because this device is set in a kiosk, and you'll put in your employee number, and when you do, that device is now you. So you're not having to maintain the badges and the photo IDs and redo that stuff every year and all that. So that's a big plus to them. But you can see what it can do on the device itself. This here is tunable lighting. It's also called tunable white or human-centric lighting. So we could have it set where it shifts throughout the day, or you could have it to where just it's done within the space. The Round Rock ISD that we're working with now, we're talking about using it for students in calming areas. We're talking about putting it in areas of students with special needs, and even in the nurse's office. And it may extend to the learning environments because it's shown to help there as well. Disinfection. We can disinfect throughout the day. There's two different types. One of the disinfecting lights incorporates UVC. Obviously, UVC is not healthy for us. So you want to be sure when you do that, that within the system, we can have set up that the doors have a magnetic lock. There's a timer on the outside showing that the room is being disinfected. And if someone has the ability to override the system and open the door, it'll disengage the UVC. You don't want people walking into that. UVC can be really dangerous for you. But there's other lights out there that are not as strong and on a different spectrum that we could put over in gymnasiums, locker rooms, and water fountains, and in kitchens, which will take care of the bacteria and prevent that from spreading and getting through the facility. It does not eliminate housekeeping, though. It helps, but it does. It's a supplement too. Big question: UL 924. We actually are UL 924 listed. It can be centralized or distributed. In addition to, this is one of the manufacturers. There are others out there that also have UL 924 requirements, but that is something you want to check out whenever you're getting into this type of technology and how they apply it. And this is a higher level of the DC power grid, and kind of give you an idea of the amount of installs that they have, over 700. And you can see there's some pretty big venues in there: stadiums, airports, hotels, and so forth. You get 20 times the power, 20 times the distance versus the PoE or the analog line voltage power. Safe to the touch. If it's pulled within 3/1000ths of a second, if there's a disconnect, it will no longer send those digital packets down that line. So it's very, very safe. You can power it through utility. You can power it off of an energy storage device. You can power it off of a solar panel, wind, it doesn't matter. And you can actually have it powered off of any of those, and it'll shift and automatically adjust based on the needs of the day and what the building's doing. PoE is something that can be retrofitted. So if you have an existing building and someone wants to get into this and they're going to stage it out, we can absolutely do that. You can build turnkey racks and have it pre-programmed, so whenever they install it, it'll eliminate a lot of the field work out there. And this was a case study that was done, and we ended up putting a dedicated installer out there for the 4 months to get the facility up and running. Cybersecurity, I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically what we need to know is that we're using certificate management here with some heavy encryption, and every certificate is unique. So as far as cracking into this, it's virtually impossible. Anything can be cracked, but we're using the highest levels of security possible to be sure that they are safe. And as better security becomes available, we'll implement that, and we could push that back down to existing customers as well. And the networking as a whole, it's going to show you the options and what's out there, what we can do. But that's all I'm trying to get across here to you. And the biggest thing is the specification. So how would you spec something out like this as far as divisions of scope? What I really want you to focus on is that bottom half on the electrical side. And you'll see, with the exception of all line voltage equipment, exterior line voltage fixtures and controls, and interior line voltage of controls, we're actually moving this to a Division 27 contractor. That's due to the knowledge base that they have of understanding IT infrastructure, networking, the ability to build a proper Cat 5e or Cat 6 cable. You just need to be sure they know how to hang fixtures. That's really it. Your biggest takeaways: it's simple. It's trust that's building the senses for the occupant, and it's a data-driven value proposition for the building and for the owners. And that's it. So questions, I'll open it up. If anyone has comments, questions, or anything like that, let me know. I know I moved pretty fast through the presentation, but if there are any questions, it's open forum.
Well, that was good. Thank you, Brian. Maybe a few folks joined after it started. We didn't talk a lot about Brycomm, just FYI, Brycomm's headquartered out here in Hutto. And we have 5 separate divisions. We started out as a data cabling company. Then we started a security division, audiovisual division, and
Lighting.
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, our PoE lighting, and the 5th one. Help me out.
What else are we doing here? DAS system. I mean,
DAS systems, yeah. Outside plant. I'm sorry, outside plant.
yeah.
We have bucket trucks, and we set telephone poles, run fiber optic cable, that type of thing. But we just opened up the PoE lighting division, about 6 months ago or so, just going on a year or so. And anyway, yeah, we'd like to invite anybody who's on the call. I'd like to invite you to come out and see a system. We installed the system here at our headquarters building. We have a 30,000 square foot building, 10,000 square feet is office, and 20,000 feet is warehouse. So if anybody's interested, please reach out, and we'd be happy to give you a tour of our lighting system here. But other than that, open it up for questions for anybody out there that has questions on the system.
Yeah, this is Scott Jarman. I've got a question. What kind of energy savings or paybacks might you see if you retrofit the system, retrofit kind of an existing, let's say T8 or T12 system, or is this technology kind of more appropriate in the new construction space? Any comments?
So the energy side of it is you're roughly looking at about 13% is what I'm hearing as far as energy reduction. It's getting harder and harder to get that energy reduction, as you know, because of the, just on the lighting system by itself, okay, because of LED. However, if we take into account, we start incorporating demand response, you starting HVAC temperature setbacks and so forth. We start running those numbers. That can be big numbers that come back to the end user, and setting up a smarter building as far as, like I mentioned before, like the corridors, if it's a 20-minute timeout, but the people are staying out of the space, for instance, like a school, is there a need to run them for the full 20 minutes? Maybe it's a 1 minute and we don't turn the lights off, but you reduce the lighting output to say 25%.
Okay, I probably have a couple other questions, but I'll
Okay.
defer to others for now.
It looks like there was a couple here in the group chat, a couple of questions that came through. One question here is about feasibility of adding it to an existing space. The nice thing about these systems is if, for instance, you have a lighting system, it does seem, the comment here seems like a lot of rewiring. You could potentially add these systems in without changing out your lights if you have an infrastructure already and you don't want to assume that expense of ripping things out and adding new. You could add sensors to capitalize on the analytics side of things, to control the system, to add some of the functionality of the system without necessarily having to replace lights. The nice thing about the lights is in new construction is that cost, I mean, it's critical infrastructure that's part of your building. So you have to have the lights. So if you go this route, you're adding the layer of the smart technology into the building with your budget for your lights. I wouldn't always say it's necessarily beneficial to rip out an existing system just because of the expense that's part of that. But you could use a system just for the analytics. If you want to put in the sensors and tie it into existing building systems, you could absolutely do that.
Yeah, and if it's something to add there, if it's an existing building but they're upgrading their lighting, we need to take into account where the space is at based upon the energy code requirements too. So we may end up having to pull more circuits or do more zones within a space due to the energy code. So it may actually end up coming back to where it starts to become a wash when you consider the PoE, because it can be staged down to, we want to start in a single room up to a wing or campus level retrofit. How does Ryan says has one for the people counting, how does it work? And so a lot of the technologies are using the Bluetooth technology within the sensor. So we're actually, that's something I didn't discuss, is the sensors you have today is you have an occupancy sensor, you usually have a photo cell, and then you're gonna have a sensor for people counting, and all these different sensors start coming out there. What we're doing is we're consolidating down to a single sensor that has the technology of occupancy, photocell, Bluetooth, and temperature. And you can have any of those profiles set within the sensor itself. So what we're using are Bluetooth, and we're tracking the people and counting the people as they come through. And that could also be used in a condition of a building with limited occupancy space, that they would know immediately that they've hit their number, and there could be a beacon on the outside of the building to say building's fully occupied and you can't come in. Maybe it's a magnetic lock that takes place, no different than a exit of a building, that you can get out the building, but you can't come into the building until that people counting goes below the requirements for that building. But it's done through Bluetooth and Bluetooth asset tags and so forth.
Okay, because not a concern, but an application that it could be used for, I'm just wondering was how it worked, whether it was a heat sensor or how it actually did the counting, is when you look at lockdown scenarios, something that could facilitate law enforcement response, particularly in areas that you have camera dead zones like restrooms, locker rooms, and it could give either a heat signature or a count of people so that someone could sit, a law enforcement officer or emergency management personnel could sit down sensors and see where people, once they lock down, where they're at. So that could be a very valuable way to introduce this to particularly federal school districts, municipalities, any place that could be a real big target.
Yeah, the systems that you talked about within the facility, we can integrate with those pieces to capture that and give that to the police whenever they're showing up, to let them know where they're at within the facility, have photos taken of the individuals, what are they wearing, how many, and so forth. And that's done through the camera system. Then we can heat map and heat trace through the sensors that are Bluetooth and PIR and temperature sensing.
Yeah, because the big challenge is just where you can't put cameras legally.
Right. Yeah. So there we could use just the sensors themselves and say, hey, there's a cloud of heat over here that's not supposed to be in a room.
So how much fidelity do they have? Would it pick up in a restroom with like 4 enclosed toilets? Would you have to put one over each toilet so that you could get an accurate sensor of who's sitting where if they're locked down? Or would it be one in there and just say, hey, there's a heat signature in here, we don't know what?
We could take it to the level of one over each stall and say the individual's in the third stall. They're trying to hide in the third stall, and so they know where to go to. It could be down, we can have down to 1 meter of accuracy.
And part of that's possibly the design of the bathroom too, right?
Yeah.
Some stalls might go all the way to the ceiling. Some are just,
Sure.
7 feet up, whatever it is. And in that case, maybe you don't need as many sensors. I think of what we have here in our office. I was actually looking at them today. I think there's 4 over the entire bathroom stall, and then there's 2 over the sinks, which is good. It covers the entire bathroom, but there's not one over every toilet necessarily. But but they're just spread out enough where you could map it and see where that heat signature is within the space.
Yeah, that's just something that could be an extra selling point that you could put in towards it. And yeah, because when you don't have enough occupancy sensors, nothing like being in a stall and having the light go out on you.
Yeah, yeah.
Been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I'm talking to Round Rock about doing with the technologies, because we have we went integrated controls in all the fixtures with, that were 2x2s and 2x4s and linear. And within the classrooms, it's all 2x4. So we're talking about doing where the system is going to do attendance for them. They're not going to have to sit there and deal with that process, and that's more time that's able to focus on the students. We could identify behaviors within students, even though they're in school, but maybe they're out of class a lot, and there's problems with the student maybe on performance, and that's feedback that they can get and understand that, hey, you know, he or she is, they're trying to cut out of class all the time. This is what's happening. I mean, there's at this point in time, it's almost whatever the owners are thinking of, hey, can we do this? Either we can do it or we can have it developed through an app. Yeah.
The next question on here looks like, will the PoE technology communicate with building automation systems? Currently, yes.
Yep.
BACnet is how we're doing it here in our office, but it's a matter of the platform you're talking to. I think nowadays it seems like everything's going to a network protocol for communication, and as long as those systems are open to receiving the transmissions of communication, they can tie in. I'm not familiar with Lawn or Niagara, but I imagine there's capabilities depending on the system that's being implemented.
Yeah,
We can do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say maybe after the call we can talk about that, because I had a question along those lines, and then after this question, Karma had her hand up a minute ago.
Sure.
Okay.
Does the system have fleet tracking? You absolutely could do that. There's Bluetooth functionality. I know we've got some Bluetooth beacons that we're using here in our office that are LTE capable, so they could be tied into a cell network and tied back to the same system.
You're muted.
We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, we don't have your audio here. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, Karma is asking, does the system have fleet tracking?
You can do fleet tracking. It's considered like, it's almost like a bolt-on to because what we're doing is we're creating the infrastructure for these capabilities to take place. So we could do a fleet tracking system, anything like that within the campus.
It'd be a matter of adding in the proper hardware to your fleet and then tying that back into the system. I'm not sure if Samsara ties in or not. That's actually what we use with our fleet, but I'm not sure if it ties in. We haven't explored that within our system here.
Also, she's asking, are there reports that show recommendations that can be used to present to the executives or executive presentations?
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually putting one together right now for a COO that I will be happy to share and pass along. That could be used at the executive levels. This would gear towards the operation side, and it would gear towards the CTO, the technology officers as well.
Okay. Yeah, and my question was along the lines of Cliff's question about automation systems. You particularly mentioned, for example, CO2 sensors or air quality sensors.
Correct.
And Cliff is referring to equipment that is an open standard. And I guess the question is can that information be passed from the sensor to a building automation system that can then control, let's say, the outside air quantity, to optimize the outside air quantity to minimize energy use while optimizing indoor air quality?
Yes, we can. That's something I failed to mention earlier, and I apologize, is that this is a open protocol system. It's, we can bring in third-party devices as long as it's within the voltage levels of the low voltage side and connect it right in. That's not a problem. Down to even leak detection.
Right, but then can it report out to a building management system that controls outside air dampers or outside air units?
It can, yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions people might have?
Yeah, I got one. Hi, guys.
Hi, Herb.
Hey, Herb.
Hi.
Hey, so this is a single wire harness that looks like it can handle fire, BMS, data, lighting, of course, critical telemetry reporting, and security. Is the UL 924 portion of the fire department, of the fire code, is our encryption levels partitioned so that when we've got different people looking at different dashboards throughout a facility manager, the security manager, all of the different people that play data always is going to be hard to wrestle away from the folks. But are there encryption levels in this system so that there's no single front door to hack? In other words, once you get in here, can you destroy everything, take control, or do we have levels where the BMS, data, lighting are all kind of structured in their own little silos and secured in that way?
Yes, no, we can have it set up to where individuals only have access to certain spaces within the facility.
Yeah.
For lighting, for BMS, for security, and so forth. But then also we have the encryption and the certificates that are taking place as well on the backside. So you just can't have someone come in and get into the system. And if you're within the system, think of it as having like user rights and viewing rights at certain levels. Certain people, you know, the energy manager gets full campus rights to see anything that's energy related. The individuals over security, that individual gets full rights to see everything that's taking place within the security realm. They're not seeing the energy side. They're not seeing certain things, and we can partition those off and have those set up for them.
And they'll all have their own individual report writers, because for like in labs, you know, compliance reporting is big. And I've used these kind of reports in the past from BMS to say, hey, here's how we control air. Here's how stable it is. Here's the history doc on it. And you have a look back of 30, 90 a year. And just to be able to do all that in all of those different silos is critical for any operation, I think.
Yeah, we can have those reports sent to the individuals that they authorize to have those reports go to. So it's not going to a single person that's then having to put it down to anyone. We can have them sent automatically to the correct people within the organization.
Okay. How about commissioning? So, you know, there's people that do specialized commissioning on HVAC systems, on lighting. There's, of course, the fire department and life safety. But the CX on this system in itself, is that something you do in-house? Or is there somebody that's third party and not knowledgeable enough on this to be able to execute a true commissioning assessment of its operation? And then, of course, follow on O&M operation CX episodes.
Right now, the way we're doing it is we're using our technology partners who are all able to come in and do this and pull it in.
Okay.
Ultimately, we will have it done and set up where it's all done locally for you and your client, and within our company themselves that would dispatch, and we could service them locally, and that will happen in the very, very near future to be able to do something like this.
Got it. Cool. All right. Hey, thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good questions.
I got a question. Can you hear me?
Hello there.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, can you just comment briefly about the technology for the lighting itself? So I understand PoE is a means to provide power and communication, to my devices. But if I'm accustomed to using different brands of lighting like Philips or Sylvania or whatever it may be, am I being limited, to my technology for the light itself, or is your technology, pretty much the drivers, for the lighting? And I imagine this could be a really long answer, but is there a short way to?
Yeah, no, short answer is we play well with pretty much any LED fixture, okay? So if the owner has a preferred match my campus standard lighting system out there, as long as we're using LED, we can come in and use it, and we could we can integrate to that LED fixture. We can do constant current. We can introduce some phase dimming as well if we needed to for decoratives, but even decoratives can be done with low voltage now. But we play well with all major brands.
Who would be doing engineering on all of this? I presume I would need to get my lighting team to match up with you to be sure there's no gaps in the design of this.
Yeah, bring them with me, and I will come and sit down and teach you the ropes and show you how to design it out, how to specify it. We can run the photometric calcs for you. Once you get into it, I think you're going to find it's very simple and easy to do, because you're not going to get stuck into having to do circuits and control zones, and it's more or less laying in the fixtures and making sure that, and then we're just paying attention to the wattages and saying, okay, it's that these 3 fixtures will daisy chain together, and that's going to be a home run back to the IDF room.
I have one more, then I'll shut up. But
Go ahead. Keep coming. It's okay.
If we have PoE, we don't need any reason to speak to the IT department of the building. In other words, we don't need. Do you need servers and interface with the owner's IT people who are generally not friendly to any of our management?
Yeah.
He's done this before.
Okay. Well, I can tell you my experience with Round Rock and how that happened. The IT department did come in, and I actually thought they were going to be a major hurdle considering this, because they were going to, I think they could think, hey, I'm going to get stuck maintaining a lighting system, right? And that's not the case. And it actually went really well. They said, oh, you mean to tell me I'm not having to check this stuff every day like I do my computers? It's just I set it once and I'm done. I have my IPs and they're over, and you're going to then facilities is going to take care of it for me? Okay, I'm good with that. So it's more, hey, what type of network switches are you using? We can offer up the brands, multiple brands that play well for network switches to them. Some people are just straight Cisco no matter what, but you don't have to use Cisco. Cisco is, I mean, it's pricey. It's really good stuff, don't get me wrong, but there's others out there that can do this at a better cost for the owner and free up some of that capital expense and allow them to go push that money elsewhere. Maybe enhancements in the building, in the technology.
One more, then I promise I'll be quiet. You said we could come take a look at your site. You're in Austin, and I would assume, or where are you? And then
We're in Hutto. We're in Hutto. Yeah, we'd love to have you come take a look at it. We're right at 130 and 79, right on the northeast corner of 130 and 79. So we can send the address, and we'll set something up for a demo of our system here. Be happy to do it.
I see we got 13 people on this call. How many people could you allow in your building?
13 people could come if they wanted to.
13 and guests.
Yeah.
Now we got plenty of room. We got huge conference rooms, and we practice the social distancing with the masks, and then we check the temperature when you come in and that type thing. So whatever precautions we need to take, we'll take. But let's figure out how many would like to attend and take it from there. If we have to do two different meetings, we can do that. Happy to.
Scott, I'm going to mute.
I saw Doug Taylor was on a call earlier with PACE, and I'm just wondering, this looks like a real ripe candidate for PACE participation and financial investment. Have you gotten a client that's participated any of this through a PACE program yet?
through a PACE
I'm
program.
not familiar.
I'm not
Herb,
familiar
we're
with
not,
that. I
Herb, we're
have
not
not.
familiar with that term, so probably
But
not.
if that's a program that's available, I'd like to learn about it.
Yeah, it might be an interesting connection. All right.
Yeah. I think in general, you know, a lot of us on the call are very much in the energy industry, not as much in the AV or IT industry. So we spend a lot of time in trying to justify projects through energy savings and methods that contractors use to sell these projects to owners, you know, through through cost-effective energy saving retrofits and financing mechanisms. So a lot of the questions you see will be along those lines. And, you know, it sounds like having a conversation about some of the available financing that's out there. You know, when you talk about Round Rock, I ask, you know, have you participated in Austin Energy's rebate programs for any facilities in Austin Energy that help owners defer the cost of these and create better paybacks?
Yeah.
So I think we can be a resource to you if energy savings is a strong justification for owners choosing your products.
Yeah, I think a really a nice story that can be shared with these end users with Round Rock in general is Round Rock was never budgeted or bonded for PoE technology. It was budgeted and bonded for a traditional build with traditional lighting controls for IECC 2015. And we came in and I met with them and we went through the process and designed it out, put it in budget, and had no problems getting it to go through at all. And we exceeded the value of the controls and the lighting system. They're in architectural grade fixtures with smart sensors in every fixture and Cat 5e down there, Cat 6 down the wall to connect into a switch, a wall switch. That's it.
And this is for their new elementary school, Round Rock Elementary number 35, that's under construction right now.
So they've been able to use the kind of the incremental cost or the comparison to what the traditional technologies are to meet the code requirements, those costs, and kind of diverted them over to your technology to meet the code requirements because they already had money budgeted, you know, for that functionality.
Yeah. So they budgeted for 2015, and actually our design exceeds the 2015 ICC lighting controls requirements that we can do, because you can control an individual fixture in a classroom, where before it was going to be an AV scene with general lighting in a daylighting zone potentially. 3 zones of control. Once it's there, you're not changing it. Unless you want to bring in electricians to pull more pipe, extend out the electrical circuit, or maybe add circuits and so forth. Now it's all within the space. So they can do it however they want to at this point in time.
Okay, we have a couple more questions in the chat. One is, can you speak to the added heat load you see in MDF or IDF closets due to PoE switches? Is this significant or is it minimal?
That's dependent on the systems, really. There can be an increase in the heat loads just based on how the system's laid out. Typically in these buildings, Round Rock, of course, is the example we'll refer back to. Even in our office, there is going to be some added heat load just based on where stuff is placed. So in a traditional building, you have an MDF and then you've got IDFs all around for Round Rock all over the campus. There's different closets. So adding a switch here or there, there might be some slight increases, and that stuff does have to be taken into consideration. But it all just depends on the system, the placement of those switches, and planning for that. Something else to consider is increased space. If you're trying to run everything out of one centralized closet, if the floor plan allows for it, you do have to consider maybe an extra equipment rack, a couple of circuits or something, which is just factored into that design. Generally, it's going to be more efficient than what's coming in a line voltage system, because you're putting it in a closet where you're already planning to have outlets and receptacles, and you're just adding what's necessary to keep it all in that one space.
Okay, and to be respectful of time, it's 1 minute after, but we have one question, so I guess I'll say this will be the last question. How many watts can be powered per port or per cable? Is it dependent on the switch's capability?
Yeah, that's what we're limited right now. It's the network switch capability, and what's out there, the highest rating is 90 watts. So 90 watts per port. You'll usually get, you can get up to 3 fixtures there, or sometimes more depending on what type of light fixture it is. But it's 90 watts.
And that is dictated by the switch chosen.
Yeah, the switch chosen.
Right.
Something to take in consideration though within those switches, that you can actually throttle the wattages that are coming off of those network switches in those ports. So if there's not a need for a full 90 watts to go to that off of a particular port, that could be set, and that wattage could get pushed elsewhere to help power things. And it's not 90 watts constant all the time. It's based on demands. So it's constantly fluctuating.
Okay.
And we're happy to stick around if there are other questions. We're not on a time crunch. If there's folks that have other questions, we'll stay here as long as questions or pop up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, and I won't turn off the meeting, but I guess I just wanted to kind of do a time check. If there's any more questions, we'll sit around and talk some more. This is very fascinating technology with a lot of application in our industry.
Yes.
I got one. So as a facility manager, I've always kind of been centric on people's health, all the workers and the environment, the office air and office comfort. And the HR department's always been heavily involved. I'm real excited to see this whole thing about being able to rack the Kelvin temperature of lighting and change that with the mood of the day. I know that with LEED and with some of the other programs, there are incentives for tying in that to LEED credits and points. Are you doing that with the Round Rock School District? Because that seems fascinating. And as we return to work in office spaces, eventually we're all going to go back. And so getting color temperature right, getting productivity right via color temperature of light is a huge opportunity. And that's a selling element that I would weigh heavily. That and the encryption partition issue. So,
yeah, no, Round Rock was pleasantly surprised that the building as a whole came out under budget. Okay, so they had this money left over, and they called me, and I thought they were joking when they told me they came under budget, because you never hear a school coming out under budget. It's always, we're over budget. We need to trim. We need to trim. And so we came under budget, and then they said, well, let's start talking about enhancements to this building, what we can do now, Brian. And first thing I went to was the tunable white lighting system and allowing them to control color temperatures and intensities, and applying that money in places that it makes the best sense, and not just, hey, let's do the whole entire building this way. And then talking about applications and software technology that could be layered in as well, in addition to the tunables that could take place. There's a video I'll send out to you guys. It's a school in Alabama that a teacher is actually talking about using PoE lighting and tunables within the learning environment, and what that's done for her students. And just the comfort level that takes place, how they're able to learn more. She can keep them focused more. It can be as easy as just a shift of a color change of the lights will connect them back in to focus back into what's happening within the classroom.
Yeah, nice.
Are y'all in the residential sector at all? Have y'all thought about that? And part of what kind of ties this together for me is that color temperature and I guess themes, if you will. I saw a very fascinating presentation at the Sacramento Municipal Utility District at an EPRI conference a couple of weeks ago about a pilot they did to help special needs children and families by theming their lighting, kind of a morning theme, a nighttime theme, different color temperatures that they used and the way they use light. And apparently the the results were pretty amazing in how it has helped these families with these special needs children adapt, to the daily routines, because they use these techniques of changing lighting colors in the morning and the afternoon and at night. Is that something y'all thought about, or is that a space that this technology could play a role in?
It's not off of the table to move into houses and so forth because of DC microgrids that are available now. But what we're running into now, the limitations are the appliances, stuff like that, the high wattages. But through proper partners and everything, it could be possible to do something like that. It could be possible to come in and absolutely build out a smart house where everything in the ceiling is running off an Ethernet cable. And now your Alexa and your Nest are talking into your lighting system, into your house, and so forth. So yeah, it's not a vertical we're currently in, but it doesn't mean we couldn't be there.
I got a question on contract execution. So you're talking about shifting a lot of effort and money away from divisions 25. Well, you're moving to do 27. Have you run into any code issues with Division 27 contractors executing on this entire scope of work? Or has it been pretty seamless? And again, it breaks down by municipality, and Austin is, of course, the biggest focus around here, but Round Rock, the Round Rock example might be useful here. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we haven't ran into that yet, but we're definitely prepared to have the conversations with the authorities that are, coming out to do the inspections in the building, to educate them. That's actually a critical piece of this, is sitting down with them to let them know that, hey, this building's going to be coming about. It's a little different. You haven't seen anything like this, but this is what you can expect. This is what's going to happen. Because if you think about it, inspections really are not required for a voice over IP phone system. Right? You can come in and bring a phone anytime you want to and add another one in and connect it. You don't have to pull permits. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But obviously, we want people to inspect the building and make sure it's meeting codes and so forth, and the performances that are required to open up the front doors.
Yeah.
I think here in our building, he was more interested. He just wanted to make sure, if there was power loss, that the emergency lights would come on. He didn't really understand the technology. He said, hey, if you lose power and emergency lights come on, I'm good. So we passed that with flying colors.
Yeah, and like fire, they want to hear alarms, and they want to do a signal test. And I guess because, if it's a single wiring harness that achieves all of these different sectors, if none of them are regulated to a point of inspection, then the others, then I guess fire is probably the main goalpost from a code and certificate of occupancy perspective. Right?
Right.
Okay. One other question on critical telemetry. So if you've got a hospital, you've got labs, and you're monitoring a critical trials freezer bank or a surgical ward, everything from airflow to temperature, all of that stuff is pretty risky business. And again, like data, those people want to keep that harness separate of a distributed common low voltage network. How's that worked out? Have you gotten to do any hospital work yet, or any laboratory heavily regulated space yet?
I have not, but I can tell you I'm in conversations with a very large hospital system in San Antonio right now for new construction. Okay. And we are wanting to take them to a place out in Denver that is the patient room of the future. And it's a PoE room that they want to come out there and see.
Come on, network.
But I personally have not had a chance to get into hospitals, but that does not mean my technology partners have not done those facilities already. And I can definitely inquire on something like that and what it was like.
Yeah. Well, if there's ever
go ahead, I'm sorry.
If there's ever a place for unifying and improving operational efficiency and robustness of medical facilities, man, that's it.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's a holy grail.
I can throw you a number out there, Presby, Dallas, and there's an article on this that we can get out as well, that they utilize real-time location services, and they bought the system originally, and the person that was running the facility bought it and they never used it. And then a new operations person came in and said, hey, we have this, why are we not using this? And they implemented it. In year one, they saved over $400,000 in operations.
Yeah.
That was employees running around nurses trying to find wheelchairs, the maintenance people running around trying to find equipment. They were paying for maintenance on stuff that wasn't being used, that wouldn't even do for calibration. They were leasing equipment that they had on the campus that they didn't know they had because they couldn't find it, so they go write a lease agreement up for a piece of equipment.
That's rich.
So yeah, hospitals are a huge place to go save money.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, are there any other questions? Well, if not, I want to very much thank y'all for presenting today. It obviously was very interesting because we had a lot of questions, and we would like to post your presentation on our website. And again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the time. We appreciate you guys joining and listening to us and coming in and taking time out of your day to allow us to show you this new technology. So thank you.
And Scott, yeah, let us know the feedback you get on if folks do want to come out here to Hutto and look at our PoE lighting system and get a tour of our new headquarters. Let us know what kind of interest you have there, and we'll set something up.
Okay, and if you want to reach out to any of us to kind of understand better what we do and how we can promote energy efficiency and the methods we use that could assist your business, reach out to us.
Will do. You got
Sounds
it.
good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right,
Everybody
thanks,
have a great
everybody.
day.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
y'all too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.